Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders, a great millstone for teaching this truth according to the Bible. A sincere shalom to all the fellow laborers who push this truth and believe in this truth in the last days, as we are called to do so here in Babylon the Great. I don't know if everybody saw it yet, but I believe it was 2 days ago, so this video is 1 day old. The United Nations held a vote. Okay, the United Nations held a vote. All right, and to vote on the greatest atrocity, the greatest crime against humanity ever committed in human history. And it was voted on that it was the transatlantic slave trade, which is true. It is 100% true. The transatlantic slave trade is the most egregious, most recognizable crime against humanity of all human existence. All right. And it's a fact. All right. That and for anybody to say otherwise just shows you that they really don't know what really went on during the transatlantic slave trade and as a result of what happened afterwards. OK, now it's very interesting when you see this vote. All right. They're going to show you the countries that voted in favor of it, because this whole resolution was a proposal for reparations to the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, which primarily is you so-called black people, so-called Negroes, the tribe of Judah, all right, Benjamin and Levi, all right. Now, it is true that the northern tribes were taken into custody in slavery, all right, along with the southern tribes, okay, so you cannot forget that they were also trafficked in that same slave trade. But the primary source of the trade came from the west coast of Africa, the Ivory Coast. Okay. And it's just very telling, all right, how these countries voted. All right. And it was overwhelmingly, most of the countries in the world, I believe it was 123 countries that voted, okay, in favor, okay, of recognizing the transatlantic slave trade as the number one quintessential, most horrific, most grotesque, most diabolical crime against humanity of all time. All right. It just shows you that these people know who we are, man. Everybody knows who we are. Everybody knows what happened, and everybody knows that this place has got to pay for what has gone down. But it's not going to pay in the way that these people are proposing with reparations, actual money and land and all that. We don't want all that. We want what the Bible prescribes, what the Bible prophesies, which is true vengeance of the Lord. True reparations is going to come from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. All right. We're not going to get justice here from these people. All right. So fair use is for educational purposes only. I'm going to show you the beginning part of this video. Then we'll watch a little more. And I have scriptures lined up. So, yeah, this vote is very telling, because there was 3 countries, and I'm going to let you guess who those countries were before they're shown. But there was 3 countries that voted against this. Only 3. All right. So let's watch.
President John Mahama has received overwhelming support from United Nations members to recognize the past transatlantic slave trade as a crime against humanity and the need for reparations for African nations. The resolution.
And we know that these the people who were taken into the transatlantic slave trade as slaves on cargo slave ships, they were not Africans. Okay, they were not Africans. They were refugees. All right, they were Israelites from the southern tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right, Israelites is who they were. They were not Hamites. It was the Hamites, the Hamite nations, the so-called African nations, that were the ones selling, okay, capturing and selling the Israelites to the so-called white man, the Edomites of the Bible. Okay, and they were shipped and trafficked, okay, in that massive human trafficking ring known as the transatlantic slave trade. All right. They were Israelites. In fact. All right. Let's get this first scripture. Of course, probably the scripture that's responsible for waking up the majority of the people who call themselves Israelites today. All right. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, primarily you Negroes. All right. You descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, such as myself, from the tribe of Judah, from the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi, which would be you so-called African Americans, so-called West Indians, your Caribbean Islanders, your Jamaicans, your Trinidadians, and you Haitians, so-called black Negroid people. All right. This verse is probably the one that did it for you when you heard it. You know, it's not that you haven't read this verse before when you were in the church or that you were, in the world, but when it was time for Yahweh to wake you up, all right, this is probably the verse that was like, yo, something's here, right? I feel something, a connection to this word, and it's speaking to me. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28:68. All right, I know personally it was me. It was this verse that woke me up. All right, it really, really, really jarred my mind when I thought about it. When you really think about it. All right, Deuteronomy 28:68 says, "And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Being brought back into Egypt means we're going back into the house of bondage, which is slavery. The Israelites never went into slavery again in the land of Egypt. So this is talking about a future prophetic time of a mass enslavement of the Israelites. Okay. And the caveat, the sticking point, the omen was the fact that the Lord said it would be done with ships, maritime trade, human trafficking by way of sea, water. Okay. So at the end of this verse, it says, "No man shall buy you," which means no man shall redeem you, which means no one would free us from that bondage that we would be sold into. Okay. We were going to be sold into our enemy, and no one would ever free us. We are still here to this day in the land of our captivity, serving our enemies that bought us and brought us here as slaves in oppression, in a system that's designed to drain us of our energy like batteries and to keep us in a cycle of sin that we do not know who we are. We do not wake up and we do not fight against the system that we were sold into. All right. So let's keep watching.
On the matter was introduced on Wednesday at the General Assembly in New York. It received 123 votes in favor, 3 votes against. They were Argentina, Israel, and the United States, while 52 countries, mostly European, including the UK, Portugal, and Spain, all abstained. Here.
All right. So you heard them say 3 countries were voted against. All right. And of course, the United States of America voted against. Now, why would the United States of America vote against this resolution? Well, because the United States is guilty. All right. This Edomite nation is guilty. They are the primary benefactory of what happened in that slave trade, the economic explosion that happened as a result of the agricultural plantation economy that blew up the United States to the point where they had the ability to challenge the current, at the time, the world superpower in Great Britain. They had the funds, okay? They had the land to be able to challenge the world superpower militarily as a result of what happened in the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, they positioned themselves using their slaves, using that crime against humanity to become what America has become today. Okay, and it goes far past, okay, after the transatlantic slave trade was over. Okay, the slaves and the descendants of the slaves built this country from the ground up. Okay, for free. All right. Now, of course, the United States voted against it, but who else did? You see that little red, the little red boxes represents the countries that voted against, all right, this resolution. And the other one is Israel, all right, the fake state of Israel. You know why they voted against it? One, because they want to keep the Holocaust in everybody's memory. 2, because the people that were sold into slavery on ships that were owned, insured, and funded by the JOOs, the fake Jews. All right. Those slave ships were owned by those people who call themselves Israelis today. Okay, we call them Israelites. We call them small hats. Okay, those ships were owned by them. Not only that, but a majority of the plantation owners themselves were JOOs. The auction blocks, the auctioneers, and the auction houses were owned by, you guessed it, JOOs. Okay, so the people that it's ironic, the people that are claiming to be from that biblical lineage of the tribe of Judah are the same people who voted against the resolution that would recognize the actual slave trade of the tribe of Judah. Okay, and recognizing it as the most atrocious crime against humanity in human history. Of course they would do that, because then they would, you would have to ask, hey, why is it that the Bible seems to point in the direction of those people who were traded on those slave ships as being the real Israelites, and you, okay, don't seem to fit any of the biblical prophecies, all right? And people would start asking that question. The other one that voted against it is Argentina. Well, if you don't know anything about Argentina, Argentina is basically another small hat controlled state where they, just like the United States, are all embedded in its government, and they control all its policies. And it's basically a backup plan for when Israel gets blown up. They think they're going to all run down to Argentina and run it like they run Israel right now. All right. So, of course, those three are the ones that are going to vote against it. All right. Let's keep going here. Daniel chapter 9 and verse 12. And they were correct to label it as the most egregious crime against humanity in world history, because Daniel confirms that. Daniel 9 and verse 12 says, and he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us. And those words were the curses. Those words were the prophecies of us going into captivity. All right. It says, and against our judges, our leaders, right? They had to go into captivity as well, along with King David. It says that judged us by bringing upon us a great evil, for under the whole heaven, that's the entirety of planet Earth and all humanity, under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem, which is the Israelites. Okay, there is no crime, there is no oppression, there is no genocide that has been as long-lasting, as all-encompassing, and as brutal as has been done for generation upon generation upon generation for thousands of years upon you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And just to point this fact out, that of all the tribes of the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, the tribe of Judah has gotten the worst of it all. By far, the worst of it all. They were the primary victims of that transatlantic slave trade. So under the whole world, okay, nobody has experienced what we have experienced. All right, let's keep going.
Here is when this is when the vote actually took place.
Resolution A/80/L48 entitled Declaration of the Trafficking of Enslaved Africans and Racialized Chattel
Israelites, not enslaved Africans, enslaved Israelites.
Enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity.
Now look at, I think there was 52 countries that abstained, meaning they did not vote. All right. So look at the countries that did not vote. All right. Just look at that first column. Albania, Edomites. Andorra, Edomites. Armenia, Edomites. Australia, Edomites. Austria, Edomites. Belgium, Edomites. Bosnia, Edomites. Bulgaria, Edomites. Canada, Edomites. Croatia, Edomites. Cyprus, Edomites. Chechnya, Edomites. Denmark, Edomites. Listen, these Edomites are fucking guilty, man. And they know it. They know they're fucking guilty. They're all going to pay. They're all going to pay. They don't want to recognize it. They don't want to admit it. But at this point, in this late in the game, with the Hebrew Israelites, especially of Great Millstone and like-minded brothers who teach the 100% truth, they know who we are, and they know what was done, and they know they're going to have to pay, and they don't want to pay. That's why they're going to try to collapse everything and enslave everyone with this microchip. They don't want to have to pay for what they've done. All right? All these Edomites are going into slavery. They're going into captivity because we went into captivity. Let's get that. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So, hey, the world has now recognized that our captivity was the worst. Okay? And the Lord has recognized it. The only thing left is for this prophecy to be fulfilled, where those that led into captivity, you Edomites, you so-called white people, you red devils, you red-back gorillas, cave dwellers, you're going into slavery. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to go into hardcore chattel slavery. You will be separated from your families. You will be ruthlessly beaten. You will be stripped of your heritage. You will be stripped of any identity and language and culture that you think you have, which you don't. You will be put back in your place as the basis of men, and you will be paying those reparations, not through money, but through your labor in building up the kingdom of heaven and restoring the earth as slaves, free, unpaid, worked 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, because you will have the Sabbath off, but on the Sabbath, you will not rest. We will torment you in your mind with demons. Okay? Wait till we get that spiritual power. Wait till Yahushua comes back. Wait till Yahushua comes back, and you're going to see what we're talking about. All right? He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword. What was Esau's blessing? Esau's blessing was the sword. And at the end of Genesis, the 27th chapter, okay, what did Esau say he was going to do with that sword? Okay? Genesis 27 and 41, it says, Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, meaning he's thinking this in his mind, right? This is what he's going to do with his sword that he was just blessed with. In the 40th chapter, and by the sword, in the 40th verse, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So what did Esau say he was going to do with his sword? And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. So he was slain with the sword, man. Okay, let's keep watching.
Will all delegations confirm that their votes are accurately reflected on the screen? The voting has been completed. Please lock the machine.
The best part about working at the VA is we have an open door policy. All of the services work very, very closely together.
There it is. Those are the results right there. 123 countries in favor of the resolution, 3 against, and 52 did not vote. They abstained. So the world knows, and the world has known for a very long time, that the most victimized people in the world are you so-called Negroes, you so-called descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. All right. So this is the reason why America is going to have to pay for what it has done. America is falling. All right. America is being destroyed from the inside out and from the outside in, because America and the Western world in general, you so-called white people, you have not paid for what you have done. And not only did you do it, but you did it to the Lord's people, the apple of his eye. You did it to the people of the Lord. So you're going to have to pay in an absorbent amount for what you have done. All right. Everybody knows who we are now. All right. As a matter of fact, we were the last to know. Quite honestly, we were the last to know. but we know, everybody knows, we know, we know, and everybody knows. So it's time to pay. America's gonna fall. You're gonna lose everything, all your wealth, everything that was ever built in America is gonna be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction in World War III. And at the return of Yahweh Shai, he's gonna be shooting laser beams out of the chariots, man. Okay, so just look at the results here. Okay, those 52 countries, most of them were Edomites as well. That's why they decided not to vote, because they don't want to acknowledge that they know that their entire existence was built off of this trade. All right?
No.
The result of the vote. The result of the vote is as follows. In favor, 123. Against, 3. Abstentions, 52. Therefore, draft resolution A/80/L48 is adopted.
Folks, as we said, the three countries that actually voted against this resolution were the United States, Argentina, and Israel. The countries that actually abstained from the vote: Albania, Andorra, Armenia, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Cambodia.
All Edomites, all you fucking white people in Europe, in the belly of the beast. All right?
Canada, Croatia, Cyprus.
What's funny about Cyprus is we can go to the verse I had pulled up. Okay, because Cyprus is its own country, but I believe it used to be a part of Greece. All right, Joel 3:6, it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay, so we've always been getting traded by these other nations, man. And as a matter of fact, these African nations that think they're doing something by, trying to put this up for a vote. Listen, those Hamites, they're going into slavery too. Those Hamites are going into slavery too. We were under enslavement. Our first enslavement was under you Hamites, under Mizraim. Okay, the so-called Egyptians who are now today you Sudanese. Okay, you're going into slavery as well. So it's not just these so-called white people that are going into slavery. All nations are going into slavery. Isaiah 63:5, it says, and I looked, and there was none to help. And what is the Lord talking about here? He's talking about his people. Nobody helped his people. Like it said in Deuteronomy 28:68, none shall redeem you, no man shall buy you. Okay, nobody helped our people. We're still here. Okay, by the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai and his mercy upon us. Okay, I believe it was not Jeremiah, Genesis. What was it? I'm not gonna get it, but the verse that says that for Judah, the Lord shall be his help. The only reason we're still here today and not extinct is because the Lord is our help. And that goes for all the tribes. Okay. It says, in none to help. And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore, mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury, it upheld me. So nobody's going to help us. We're not going to get reparations. We're not going to be recognized. We're not going to get the so-called vengeance that a lot of people believe we deserve. Okay, until the Lord returns. It's not going to come from any man-made nation of men that are going to say, "Hey, look, we recognize what happened to your people, and we're going to try to make it right." That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is the Lord is going to have to come back. Yahweh Shem Shai is going to return to planet Earth. And they're going to invade this planet Earth as an alien invasion, and they're going to destroy the nations that put their hands on the Lord's people and enslave them. All right, that's how we're going to get our vengeance. All right, and everything, all lands, all waterways, the entirety of the heavens will belong to the children of Israel. Okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right.
Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Fiji, Finland, France, Georgia.
Look, Even more. Greece, Georgia, Ireland, Italy, Japan, okay? Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, right? The Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, okay? These are the nations, okay, that did not vote, okay, to recognize this. These are Edomites. Most of them are Edomites. Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and Ukraine. You fucking Edomites. It's ridiculous. Like, well, it's not ridiculous. We know this is what the devil does, okay? But it doesn't matter. Everybody knows. They're still trying to hide, but like it says in Second Thessalonians 2:8, the man of sin has been revealed, and they're fucking being exposed right now. All right?
Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Montenegro, the Netherlands, New Zealand, North Macau, Norway, Oman, Palau, Paraguay, Poland, Portugal, Romania, San Marino, Sao Tome, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, as well as Ukraine and the United Kingdom. They all abstained. There were 52 total abstentions, 3 against, and 122, of course, the votes that actually were for this numbered 123. Ghana's President Mahama spoke about the transatlantic slave trade earlier today.
Your Excellency, Secretary General of the UN, Excellencies, permanent representatives, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Progress is made in little steps. It is a forward motion towards something better, and changes often come incrementally. Today marks the International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. It is a day on which we honor the memory of the approximately 13 million African men, women, and children who were enslaved over the course of several centuries. We remember them through articles.
Remember, this enslavement was centuries. The slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade in and of itself was what? 400 years? 400 years? The enslavement itself was centuries. And they want to compare the Holocaust to what happened to the so-called Israelites? Okay? Not even close. Add another 450 years to the Holocaust, and you might be talking something. Which, by the way, that didn't go down the way they said it went down. Okay? They made a lot of that shit up. All right? And people are finding that out too. Okay? This is why the Lord said there's no comparing what has happened to our people to other people. All right? In the whole world.
Oral histories, through broadcast programs, books, music, visits to museums, monuments, and memorials such as the Ark of Return, located right here at the Visitors Plaza of the United Nations headquarters. Through these activities, we do more than remember. We document and educate. We gain greater perspective. We find the delicate balance of learning from history so that we do not repeat here in this example.
Are you still brushing your retainer?
Slacky, I'm trying to skip through this speech.
Here at Zima Dental, we know that no matter what kind of oral appliance you have,
Memory of the
Now, yesterday, Ghana's president did not hold back criticizing the United States, Donald Trump, for their attack on Black history.
That's because the United States is a little bitch. You saw what they were doing with it. It was already a thing where I think Donald Trump ordered that, they take down all the images of slavery in the national museums and whatnot because they say it's an unfair depiction of American history. No, it's an exact, accurate depiction of American history. Enslavement, rape, robbery, and murder. Okay? Brutality. That's how you were built. That's how this place was built. Okay? Off the backs of the so-called black man, off the backs of the so-called Hispanic and Native American man. The brutality. Okay? But primarily we're focusing on the so-called black enslavement. All right? And Donald Trump wants to take down those images because it's evidence. It depicts what America is really about. Okay? And they're ashamed of it. A shameful spewing on their glory. Let me get that and we'll close out. Let's get Habakkuk chapter 2. And 16, it says, Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also. Let thy foreskin be a cover. They're being exposed. That's what it means to have your foreskin be a cover. They're nasty, nasty secret parts are being exposed. Let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Yeah, they used to brag about it. They used to be, oh yeah, we conquered those fucking savages. We enslaved you. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah, we're not paying reparations. Yeah, America. We built America off of hard work, dedication, and being the people of this is God's country. They used to be so proud of it. Okay, they used to be so proud of America, and now that the secrets, which really was never really a secret, but even there was a brutality that we even don't know. Okay, but it's all gonna come out. Okay, nothing shall be hid. Okay, nothing hid shall not, or slack. I'm butchering that. There is nothing that is hid that shall not be seen, or something like that. Okay, the Lord is exposing this devil. All right, so I'll close out with that. The world knows who we are now. Okay, and Yahushua is close to his return. We first got to go through this full collapse of America and then salvation in the kingdom. So I'll give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakak Wadash. Shalom.